Tilt is something that has made its way into the video game scene. Wherever there is a competitive mode, there is Tilt. I personally have been on a losing streak in Paladins, a champion-based arena shooter, so now walking the tightrope of Tilt myself, I thought it was a good time to talk about this topic. What exactly is Tilt, and how do I stop tilting or at least try to control it? These are the two questions I'll be answering in this video. Tilt as a term didn't originate in the video gaming realm. It's widely used in poker to explain what happens when a player gets frustrated and comes into a state of confusion or frustration, which means they don't play as logically and often become more aggressive in their play. The actual term tilt is thought to have originally come from pinball machines, where players in frustration would try to tilt the machine to stop a pinball from falling into a gap. However, a lot of the machines detected that movement and would display tilt on the scoreboard and locked all arms, so there was no way of saving the ball. I can't imagine anything more rage-inducing than basically being unable to play the game, even if it is your own fault. In either case, it pretty much refers to the build-up of frustration and then acting against your normal strategies and logic. In video games, when you're on a losing streak, whether it be dying a lot or losing games, frustration can often build up in players. Most games are also structured to have rounds, deaths, and full game timers, all chances to build up this frustration or tilt. Also, in a lot of team-based multiplayer games now, there are strategies and tactics that are related to map positions, player positions, ability timing, and lots more. These strategies all rely on a player's judgment and logic to follow in a pattern that can overcome their opponent. Not only that, but as online competitive games are mostly team-based, Tilt can not only affect how you play as an individual, but how you perform in a group. I see Tilt in multiplayer games as a snowball of emotions waiting to happen. Once one player tilts and starts performing badly, if they take to the chat to spam expletives about your team's mothers and how bad they all are, it's a ticking time bomb to make all the other players tilt. Generally, if your team are making mistakes or aren't following a logical strategy, it can make you angry at them and eventually even tilt at how you perceive them performing. Also, if you don't have voice communications with a team member, you might have different ideas about tactics and strategies to follow, and may end up frustrated that you take different approaches. This is the reason why I feel tilt is such a big thing in team-based multiplayer games. It's a line of emotional dominoes waiting to fall. In poker, even goading opponents, whether being offensive or just playing with emotions with wit, is seen as a tactic to rise people to tilt and make mistakes. This was the case too when I played CSGO. In the warm-up round and between rounds, you're able to talk to the opposing team. I'm not sure how it has changed now in CSGO, and I'm fairly sure voice chat is no longer a thing mid-game, but one of my friends used to always troll in the middle of games and warm-up rounds, basically goading the opponents into an angry retaliation. What he said wasn't really that logical and had no effect on him, but getting a rise out of the opponents already riled them up ready for a tilting. Not that I agree with the tactic, but I think it can be induced by goading and insults. And this isn't exclusive to your opponents, it can also happen with your own teammates if they are basically being self-damaging to their game. Whether tilt or not, in esports where the games hold extreme weight and tension, keeping emotions at bay and keeping calm are often seen as qualities that can turn the tide of games. In short, tilt is a big deal in the online gaming realm, so how can you combat tilt then? Well, first off, you have to recognize that you are in fact tilting. The majority of human beings feel emotions, and we aren't mostly sociopaths or psychopaths. We feel the pressure, we get angry, and we get frustrated. It's only natural as a human being, and you need to be able to accept that you're tilting before you even try to stop it. It is easier to get angry and blame your teammates and vent in chat, but it's also an easier way to set the snowball of emotions and mistakes that will be your loss. Even if your teammate were the ones that lost you the game, perhaps by tilting themselves or fundamentally not understanding the strategies of the game, then blaming them or yourself will achieve nothing. One thing advised in poker is that if you put in a big bet on a hand that is good, and you expect to win it, but the opponent gets lucky and gets a card on the river or has a slightly better hand, it is statistically uncommon and you in fact didn't actually play badly. There wasn't anything you could do. In the same way, in video games, if your team makes mistakes or aren't too good at the game, there isn't a lot you can do about it, so you need to learn to disregard these games. Also, whenever you're about to type or shout an insult at your team, stop. Even venting at the end of a game could mean you get more frustrated at the angry responses you might receive from your teammates or enemies. In poker, the main advice for tilting is to leave the table to gather your thoughts and have a break from the pressure. In video games, I also think this is great advice. If you are on a losing streak and you are feeling really frustrated and committed to winning that next game, it's time to take a break. Go gather your thoughts, focus on something that you enjoy, or refresh yourself with drinks, eating, or going outside. Personally, I will go watch a program that I enjoy, go for a walk, or something along those lines to clear my head, and I think it will generally get me back into a good mood. I also think that exercise can relieve some of the pent-up pressure that exists from online gaming. There's so much emotion, release of adrenaline, but no physical exertion, and even though frustration plays a big part in physical sport, it doesn't seem to be so wild and uncontrolled as it does in the gaming realm. Personally, if I'm losing a lot, I will do some press-ups, but not many, but just enough to feel it. Why press-ups? Because there isn't a lot of room inside my bedroom for exercise, but if you do want to keep playing, it could be a quick release in the comfort of your basement, gaming room, and hey, you might get slightly healthier in the process. Another point is that not only stopping your aggression from turning into insults toward your team, but always trying to be positive about your teammates in chat, using in-game emotes or voice itself might help. Say if you win a round or a big fight, a simple good job or nice work will only dampen frustration and lift spirits by a fraction. Also, if you do lose a round or a fight, reacting with ideas to overcome the next round or engagement, or generally accepting the loss and reassuring your team will help stop the spread of the Tilt wildfire. Plus, if a teammate is playing badly, direct criticism or anger won't make them want to change, but friendly constructive criticism may mean they'll be more open to changing their minds and strategy, and item choice or pattern of attack the next time coming up, and might even help you to stop tilting at them. Emotions really aren't logical, and sometimes people let them take over. If you can't get through to a person and they are constantly insulting or being obnoxious to your team, you're best just to mute that person and focus on your game and playing to the best of your ability with the rest of your teammates. Another tip is to be able to accept that your opponents may be playing well. I know it sounds like a radical concept, but you're playing competitive games and your opponents too are executing strategies and tactics to win the game. For me, the joy of multiplayer games is a challenge that humans can provide over AI, who in games often rely on cheats to put them anywhere near the level of challenge that humans can possess. Accepting that your opponents at the least have played relatively well will place less emphasis on how you feel you have played and also the level you feel your teammates have played too, so making you less frustrated in general and in the long run going forward into the next game. I've also noticed at the end of the games in Dota and Paladins that the winning team is more likely to say GG or good game to the enemy team than the losers, which makes sense if you're frustrated for losing. But as a loser, a GG or a good game well played could give you the closure you need to move on without staying in a tilted mind frame and thinking that it's all your fault or your teammates' fault. All in all, tilt is something that you need to take seriously in online games, not only if you're a pro player, but even as someone trying to enjoy more competitive games so you don't get into a downward spiral of frustration and just quit a game forever. What does everyone else think about tilt in video games? Is it a real phenomenon, or is it just down to emotions running really high? Does anyone else have any tips for how they try to avoid tilt? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. If the video has cleared your mind, ready to win a game, hit that like button. If you're a tilted, well, I guess you'll already hit that dislike button. Anyway, subscribe for more of my content. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, Joshino.